This is a TRP 12-speed drivetrain, and it kind of has bad reviews, so let's test it. The TRP Evo 12 drivetrain was released early 2023 into a drivetrain market dominated by Shimano and SRAM. But despite that, there's hardly any reviews. I actually haven't found any reviews or videos from independent people like myself that bought it with their own money. My videos are entirely funded by the Saga Squad, showing up, watching all my videos, so thank you guys so much for the support. And I paid retail for this group set. I have no communication with TRP at all. I've actually tried, but no response. First thing is the price. I bought this group set without the cranks for $700 from Two Hoosier Cyclery online, and that was on sale. Retail price listed is $822 for the cassette, derailleur, shifter, and chain. So with the price being so high, TRP kind of has some big shoes to fill to not only be better than GX or XT to justify the price, but to be just as good as XTR or X01, if not better. I'll be honest, I mainly bought this drivetrain because it's gold. I want to do a gold theme build on my Santa Cruz Bronson, so the looks of the TRP are pretty awesome, much better in person compared to the website pictures. And SRAM also has gold cassettes and chains, but I actually really like the way the derailleur looks, and even the shifter has like a little bit of gold. But let's talk the features. This is a 12-speed drivetrain with a clutch as you'd expect, but TRP has one thing that I love from SRAM, plus two other features that I've never seen before. This outer cage is carbon, and there's a cage release lever just like SRAM has, so that makes taking the wheel on and off pretty easy. This cage release lever is actually pretty difficult to pull. You gotta like wiggle it back and forth, and I actually had to look at the user manual to figure it out, but I'm still happy that it has it. And funny enough, the main reason why I switched to SRAM drivetrains a few years ago was because of the cage lockout, and man, SRAM makes theirs super easy with a press of just one button. Then there's this Hall lock feature, which is named after Aaron Gwynn's mechanic, John Hall. This stabilizes the derailleur in place to reduce the noise with unwanted movement. It also helps with taking the wheel on and off with the cage lockout. The shifter also has this cool function. This switch allows you to go from single shifts to shifting 5 gears at once, and that's a lot, dude. I think I might actually like that. This shifter does feel like cheap plastic. It's all the same material. When you compare it to Shimano and SRAM, they have multiple materials and a much better textile feel on the index levers. I do like the barrel adjuster being square and really nice to turn, and they made it so it can be installed to SRAM Matchmaker, another win in my book. But dude, for $700, why does this not come with cable housing? Then the cassette. It's a two-piece design. The gold part is aluminum, the black is steel, and it's removable. No rivets, so that's cool, and it's 372 grams. That's just a tad heavier than XTR and SRAM X01, but still pretty light. And unfortunately for me, because I'm a SRAM boy, this is micro spline compatible with some pretty interesting teeth here. Luckily, in the last video with my Santa Cruz Bronson, I swapped the stock wheels with some nuke-proof wheels, and I actually bought a microspline driver body before nuke-proof went under, so I don't have to go scrambling to find a driver body to make this work. The chain is gold, pretty nice. It's lighter than XTR or SRAM X01 chains, but it's also from KMC. Now, I've used KMC chains going back 20, 30 years. They've been known to make some really strong chains over the last couple decades, but when it comes to 12 speed and how narrow these chains are, I've not had the greatest luck with them. But you know, if this breaks, maybe I could use a SRAM or Shimano chain. Does anyone know if that's possible for this TRP drivetrain? Now with this all installed, we can start talking about the complaints. First is that the B tension adjustment is very sensitive. TRP says that this gap needs to be 15 to 17 millimeters, but a reviewer said that even with that 2 millimeter window, the shifting performance can be way out of whack and it needs to be perfectly set to be dialed. I'm already running into this issue because the user manual is blurry and super unclear if you measure from the top of the teeth, the middle, or what. So if I measure it at 17 millimeters, the pulley wheel is grinding on the cassette in the middle gears. So I'm just gonna have to wing it. Vital MTB said that shifting into the largest gear can be loud and aggressive, and with the shifter claiming to shift 5 gears with 1 lever press, they said it was really only 3 gears on the trail. Overall, the sentiment on this drivetrain from what I've seen on the Pink Bike and the YouTube comment sections is that this drivetrain isn't all that great, but I'll admit, I don't closely read comments and reviews on a product that I'm about to test. And this drivetrain, it's pretty smooth so far, more smooth when it's in the Blackhawks, that's for sure. And my channel member Laurentius said that he loves TRP drivetrains so much that he has them on 3 different bikes now, so I'm pretty optimistic. Hey, don't look at my chain ring, that's for another video. All right, let's go test this drivetrain. So I've actually ridden this drivetrain a couple times already, and it's funny, the shots you just saw of the bike all cleaned up before I even rode it, I was setting up the bike to, take those glamour shots, and I dropped the bike directly on the derailleur. So a little bit of a durability test there, but no damage, no issues at all. And with this last video with the Santa Cruz, I was not really getting along with it. And I checked, and there was no volume spacers in the fork. So I added an air token, and now the fork is super plush off the top, and I don't have any complaints of harshness anymore, and it also feels a super plush, progressive, and man, this bike is in such a good place now. But this drivetrain is also pretty good so far, but it's better, instead of me telling you, it's better if I just showed you. All right, here we go, coming up on an uphill kick. Let's dump the gears. Super smooth, look at that. Man, the shifting to the easier gears is pretty good, man. It's pretty much the same performance as like SRAM GX or X01. But dude, this bike is so fast uphill. I've actually been rolling up on some XC guys. I've even rolled up on a gravel guy on just a bike path, and they get kind of offended. It's kind of funny, dude. But let me find a rolling hill where I gotta dump the gears really quickly to see how fast this thing shifts. All right, this should start going uphill right here. Well, I'm gonna try going on this rock. Oh, is that called a jib? I don't know. Oh, here it goes, uphill. Let me shift. Man, this bike shifts through the gears so fast, dude. That was actually really smooth. For the shifting into the easiest gears, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's still a little crunchy at times, but it's right there with GX and X01. Pretty good, man. But let's see how it does shifting down into the harder gears. All right, here comes the downhill. It's kind of one of my favorite little techie downhills in Bentonville. Whoa. Shift. There we go. Oh my God. Yeah, dude, so downshifting performance or shifting into, oh shoot, shifting into the hardest gears, man, I think once you get into the black hogs and everything, the shifting is perfect. It is so smooth. And for that reason, I'm gonna give that a 10 out of 10. It is really good, dude. All right, the final test that I wanna do is test out the noise to see if the clutch is stiff, to see if it's rattling, slapping all around, and what better trail to do it on Dragon scales. You guys know this trail, it's super rocky. I did this on high-low a whole bunch, and my friend actually reached out to me privately to tell me about the TRP drivetrain. He said it was really good at first, but it actually wore out of alignment really fast and ended up being not so good. But I have not experienced that yet. Actually, since me hitting it on the ground when I first started riding it, now I've ridden it about 5-6 hours. It's actually shifting better now than it was before,
and I haven't done any adjustments since I had it on the bike stand installing this thing. So pretty good so far. Let's go see if it's noisy.
All right, here it is, dragging scales. Oh yeah, this tests the derailleur right here. Oh man, my rear tire's pretty low. Keep rim striking. Yeah.
Man, I'm super happy with this Bronson the way it is. I don't think that drivetrain like added any performance, but as is right now, I got it so dialed. Just that one little air token, this bike freaking is so good. And it's like pretty progressive. So when you're turning and like getting into the suspension a little bit, it's super planted. And with the polygons, they can only really get so good. You know, you start putting like really good parts on them and then they feel kind of funky. But this Bronson, the base model, freaking rocks, dude. And I can't wait to keep riding it to see if it can get better from here. But as for the drivetrain, I mean, it's pretty quiet. It's not any louder than SRAM or Shimano. And I think the O-chain might have had something to do with that, but more on that later. I want to do a long-term test on that. That's why I have that on there. And I wish that I could have found something negative to say about this drivetrain because it makes for a better video. And after reading everything online about how, you know, there were some issues, I haven't found any of that yet, but I'm gonna keep this on my drivetrain for an extended period and I'll definitely report to you if there's any problems. The TRP drivetrain, would I buy it again? Only if I was going for the gold. I mean, SRAM GX and XO1 is just so rock solid. So you really have to be a fan of the gold or be a fan of the TRP. But it's pretty cool seeing a third brand get in the mix and make a pretty good product.